Okay, we'll start recording. I figured game one is pretty easy. We probably don't really need to cover that. So we're looking at PT 57 today. I figured we'd start with game two, and then there's the infamous dinosaur game, which I'm sure we all want to talk about, right? Um,
Yeah, that was fun.
yeah, it's a really hard one. I think it's one of the harder games, and um, I would expect, even a pretty great test taker to take 10, to take like 12, maybe even 13 minutes on that, because the other games here aren't really, really too hard. So let's take a look at game two first. Yeah, I mean, game two and four are really not too hard. They kind of just require a little bit of quick thinking, but let me get this out of the way. Okay, so for game two, we got three actors, Gombrich, Otto, and Rains, and they're auditioning for parts on exactly two of the following days of a particular week. So it's essentially like you're doubling up the pieces. You got GG, OO, and RR, and those will be our six game pieces. You're going to see each one of them audition twice: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Boom, 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 boom. And on some days there's going to be more than one. So I often do a dash line, up above to remind me that they can go up above. That's a stylistic decision. Up to you what you want to do there. This is by PT 57. We're getting into pretty thoroughly modern games, so you know you can expect to have a couple rules that are a little harder than usual to diagram, and this first one's like that. We got first day on which Otto does is before the first day that R goes, and you know how do you want to represent that? It's a classical sequencing rule, but then also that OR, the other two ORs, are hanging off somewhere else, right? So I represent that like this, just kind of visual. You're going to see OR, and then you're remembering that this is the first O and the first R.
And Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, but the second O can go
Yeah,
at the same date as the first R too.
yeah, it could. So you kind of just have to. It's visual, but it's maybe not perfect. So like, you could put something like a blank spot here. The important for me, I always when I'm doing rules, I'm just remember like my goal is to help myself remember it. You know, um, so as long as I think I'm confident that I can remember this with just this drawing, I'm happy there. But you're totally right about that. Okay, and then there's at least one day on which Gombrich and Rains both edition, so that's like a little GR block. The abbreviation I always use for this is AL1. That's a uh, really common thing that you've got at least one. I'm trying to make a little arrow there, and then our last rule is that at least one of the actors does both Thursday and Friday. So how you want to do that? For me, I think it's better to keep it up out of the way. So what I did was like um, have a box here that I know there's going to be two, but that can be a bit misleading because we don't know that anybody's doubled up on Thursday and Friday. So I guess that for me, doing it like this, you know, just remembering that these two have to be the same. And this is like a biconditional arrow. So if X is here, X is here. Of course, X just standing for any arbitrary variable. So, like I always say with diagramming, if it's a little ugly, no big deal, right? Not the end of the world because it's obtrusive and helps you see it. So we'll skip the acceptability question here, and I'll be working in just the diagram, the main diagram, and erasing. You, of course, would be making a little mini diagram. So question 7 here. So Otto's on both Thursday and Saturday. So what do we now know about that? To get our two R's in, because you can't have R on the same day, right? It's implied that that's not possible. So you know this is going to be R, and you know the last R is going here, right? So then we just got to figure out what Gombrich could do Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday isn't going to satisfy this GR condition, so we're screwed there. How about Wednesday and Friday? Yeah, perfect. Then we got the GR block that we need. Boom. So, before I, go too far with this, did you guys have any, over much difficulty with this game? I mean, we can just cover the questions that you guys sort of had a tricky time with, if there were any.
I was good.
Roy, Steph?
Yeah, there weren't any particular questions that I thought were hard. It's just these modern games. I find it takes me a little longer to wrap my head around the setup a little bit, but other than that, not really.
Okay, well, let's do a couple more just for the fun of it for this one, and then we'll move on to the next game. So let's jump ahead and look at some of the harder ones here. So which of the following, I found this one, there wasn't much you could do on 9 besides just try them all out. So which of the following is a pair of days on 2 days that Otto cannot addition? I didn't really have any intuition about what would or wouldn't work here. Wednesday, Thursday, that didn't look like a big problem. We could have Wednesday, Thursday, then we could have the R here and the R here, and then the G here and the G here. So I basically had to just go through and try each one of these out. But as long as you just get down to business on it, it doesn't take all that long. This is a game that's going to reward your ability to quickly make little scenarios, right? Wednesday, Friday, also wasn't really seeing a problem there. So I got down to D, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I'd have Otto here, and then somebody has to be the double, right? And it can't be R. It has to be G, because otherwise you're breaking this rule here. And then when you've got that, then you see there's a big problem, because now I got to have a GR someday, and then Wednesday is empty all of a sudden. And that's a no-no. That's another stated rule of the game. We do have to have somebody in on each game, on each day, auditioning. So D ends up being our correct answer there. Let's take a look at 10, and we'll close it out for this one. Okay, so which of the following could be true? I think I was able to eliminate A and B just from looking at it. All 3 on Wednesday, that's obviously going to break this rule, right? G, O, R, you're breaking this rule here. So A's gone. All 3 on Friday, that seemed to be a problem for me, because if I have GOR on Friday, then somebody's got to be the 2 on Thursday and Saturday, and all of a sudden you end up with 3 of some variable. So that clearly doesn't work. B is gone. And then how about all 3 on Saturday? That didn't look like it would be a problem at all. GRO, for example. Let's actually do it this way. GOR, and then this could be R here, have O here, and the remaining G here. And we've satisfied all the rules. So that could be true. Yeah, so nothing too hard there. And when I see an easy game 2, and game 1's always pretty easy, you do have to kind of mentally prepare yourself for the fact that there's likely something pretty difficult coming up, and that is game 3. Game 3 is, on the face, a pretty basic in and out game, right? Guys, if you could just excuse me while I go grab some water real quick. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So for game 3, it's at least pretty much a pretty basic ordering game. We got, a pretty basic in and out grouping game. Let me get my black pen back here. We have these dinosaurs, and there are an iguanodon, so I, L, P, S, T, Ultrasaur, U, and a Velociraptor. So 7 things, that's already, a lot of variables to work with. And what's more here, we got this wrinkle that they can be either green, red, yellow, or mauve. So green, mauve, red, or yellow, yep. And the display is going to consist of 5 of them. So I'm drawing this like a basic, in and out game with 7 total. That means 2 are on the outside right here, and then 5 are on this inside. 5 on the inside. And I think the best way to keep track of these colors is by using subscript. And subscript is a technique that I think can be useful in a number of different situations, but certainly here I think it's definitely the gold technique. So say I have a mauve, I, that's going to be I am. Turns out that violates one of the rules. So let's look at these rules here. Exactly 2 mauve toys are included. At first I drew that down MM, but then I saw that there's always a red Stegosaurus in here. So I wanted to do it like this. So SMM. Exactly 2, that means there cannot be any more M's. That's all you've got right there. The iguanodon, if it's included, then it's green. So I, this would stand for I included. This would be not included, right? But so if I's included, it's going to be green. So I, then IG. P, then it's a yellow P. This turns out to be a really important kind of thing for making deductions, that the fact that these I and P have to be yellow and green. Okay, so the Velociraptor is included only if the U is not. The contrapositive of that, of course, is U in, then V is out. If you want to do it the power score way, you could do it V and have the double knot arrow and U. And with rules like this, I like to kind of look at, what that might mean. Because, both can be out, right? You could have U, V, or the alternative is you could have one out and one in. So U, V, and then you have to have UV somewhere in here on this side. U or V going somewhere in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, I thought that I want to get this scenario out on paper, because if U and V are out, everything else is in. So you would have then the I, G in, the yellow P in, and then this is going to have to be L and T right here. So the whole thing, right? So I labeled this as scenario 1. And it turns out you really don't see this scenario in play much. And this is the other scenario. Scenario 2, we got the Stegosaurus that's red. We got the 2 M's. And we don't really know much about what's going on for the rest of this, So all our work is going to be basically, all the hard work's going to be done in this second scenario. Okay, so I couldn't really, go beyond that with making any inferences, but I think this making the 2 scenarios is, a little more advanced than most people are going to get, and I think it's pretty helpful, right? Okie dokie. So, we do have one more rule here. If there is L and U in, then at least one not mauve, and that's a tricky rule. It comes into play, I think, in a few of the questions. It's one that you're just going to have to really stay aware of, So sometimes if there's a rule that's kind of hard, I might sort of block it off to get a little extra attention drawn to it here. Okay, so we'll skip the acceptability question and do 13 here. So a Tyrannosaurus is not included in the display, so we get T out. Then the display must contain each of the following except, so now we know that our P is in and it's yellow, our I is in and it's green, and then the remaining thing here is going to have to be L. And then notice this rule, if I put U in, I've broken the rule, right? Because then they're both mob. So this is going to have to be V, and that means that U is in out here, right? Just U. So now we know the whole thing, and it must contain each except a mob ultrasaur. So that's D. There's not going to be a mob ultrasaur. And incidentally, you never have to worry about the colors of the out group. When they're out, they're just out. Okay. And guys, definitely go ahead and holler if you at any point need me to slow down or go over something again. Okay, so which of the following is a pair of toys that could be included in the display together? This is a could be true question. People who realize that immediately are going to just have to, try all these out are going to do better, right? So, I just start with A because I don't think there's much point in, trying to scan for an easy one. There's too much mental work to do there. So I'm just trying to put in a green lambeosaur. And then I try to put in a mob velociraptor. And clearly we're not in this scenario here, because green lambeosaur doesn't show up in here. So we're in scenario 2. So then we get a mob velociraptor, and that means U is out here. Now, the important thing to realize at this point is that I and P can't both be in here because we need something to be mob, right? So you're going to have IP here and then IP here. And we don't know which is which yet, but, you could just assign one randomly. And then our last one is the Tyrannosaur. That's all we've got left. And this works out. So A is our correct answer there. And I think they often, with these questions, make it so the correct answer is one of the first couple so that you don't have to try all of them. But, you're rewarded for quickly seeing that you do need to just start trying them. Okie dokie. So there, we're back to our base here. 15. So if the display contains a yellow Tyrannosaur, and right here, clearly it's not in this scenario. So again, we're here. And again, the important thing to do is recognize right away that neither I or P can be in these mob spots. So again, you're going to see this same pattern with I and P, having to take up one of the out spots. And really, I think this was the key pattern to the game. And once you could kind of see it, you're good to go, and then this is going to have to be L, and then this can't be U. Again, this is another pattern, so U's got to be on the outside. So now we've pretty much got it filled in. What must be true, you can just scan down until you find something that has to be true, and here it's this mob velociraptor has to be in there, right? Another, if it said a mob L, that would work, but that wasn't in the answer choices, so we end up with E, must contain a mob velociraptor. Okie dokie. So now we're on to 16 here. if both the iguanodon and the ultrasaur are included in the display, then the display must contain which of the following. So we got the iguanodon. As usual, that's green. And then we have the ultrasaur. And you don't yet know whether the ultrasaur is, mauve or whatever. You just know that V's out and now U is in. U is in somewhere, right? So then, since U's in somewhere, well, I'm kind of a little bit stuck as to what I did here. I know that it went pretty well for me. Let's see. If we had both I and P in, then we need L and U to be mauve, and that's not going to work, right? So this has to be either L or U, and then, just one of these is L or U, and then this is going to have to be T because that's all that's left. I think that's how I got there. Certainly not easy. So then it does have to contain a mauve tyrannosaur. Yeah. So that's a super hard question. I wouldn't try to invest much more than like 2 minutes into that. You could have done another way to do it would just be to kind of like make all the different possibilities rather than, but seeing that this LU rule comes into play, that's really what was the key for me, that one of those had to not be mauve. And then one, of course, does have to be mauve. Okay, 17. Wait, are we on to 17 already?
I think so.
Yeah. If the display includes 2 green toys, so now we've got 2 green toys, which of the following could be true? So I just wanted to, before I did any actual work, kind of just look at these. A, is there, because I already know something about this side. I know what all the colors have to be. So I kind of wanted to do a quick scan and see if I can eliminate any answer choices quickly. There's exactly 1 yellow toy in the display. No, that's not possible. So A is gone. How about the Tyrannosaur is in and it's green? I couldn't see any reason why not, so I'm going to at least want to try that out, right? So we'll do Tyrannosaur green. Let's just make I the next green one, and then we'll have, L in here, and then V in here, kick U out, and then U will be our outside one, and then what's left here? Just the Paleosaur is going on the outside, right? So yeah, it could be true. This doesn't violate any of the rules, and it's our right answer. So see kind of how I switched tactics there. I couldn't see why B wouldn't work, so I have a quick look at it. You could also, keep on trying to just eliminate any that you can easily see don't work. Clearly E is out because that's describing this scenario here, and it's impossible to have 2 green toys in there. So there was like kind of a mixed strategy you could take there. Good LSAT takers switch very easily between eliminating answers, and confirming answers, so to speak. So it's just always keep in mind to stay flexible. When one strategy is not kind of working, switch tactics to the other one. All right. Any comments on that game, Steph? Did you do it like roughly this way, or?
Actually, no. I did it as a grid system, and I actually did it like in 9 minutes.
Oh.
And I hadn't seen it in a really long time, and I struggled so bad with this the first time I did it, and then like redoing it. Mm-hmm. And I played it as a grid, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago when I redid this. And then I did it again tonight, and I did it as a grid again tonight, and it just worked really well.
Good.
and
Well,
it's
you'll have to send me your, your picture of your thing, and I'll give it a try with that system too.
yeah, like it's super weird. It's like I do it's weird, but it just worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't I yeah, it was I didn't I know it's an in and out game, but I didn't treat it like an in and out game for some reason, and it worked better.
Well,
It
we'll
was
check it
weird,
out
but
because I'm open to suggestions. I have, at the moment, kind of a hard time seeing how that would work for me. This was, just a kind of a clear, logical approach. But let's check that out. We'll stick around after or something. All
okay.
right, game 4. Anybody interested in seeing game 4? Or was it just super easy?
I think if I had a full 10 minutes, 10 minutes to do it, it would have been really easy, but I got really bogged down with that third game when I did this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't see that there was anything like super difficult about, game 4. Let's see. I think one thing that could help is if you kind of just work with scenarios, like recognizing that there's sort of limited placements for M. You had 1, 2, 3, 4. You could have, MM. You could have 1, 2, 3, 4, M, and then you could have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then M. And I always am pretty like friendly towards doing scenarios. I tend to find it takes a lot of the work out of it. So if you're working with these 3, 1, 2, 3, I think you'll be in pretty good shape here. Yeah, and then just keeping a good eye on the 6 max and the fact that you're already at 5 because the M has to be repeated, and if I recall, you do have to award 1 or more grants in each area. So that's, I think the big thing in this game was making sure you don't go over the 6. So other than that, it really just wasn't too tricky, and you can really see what the test makers are thinking there. They're thinking, game 3 was so hard that people are going to be under time pressure for game 4. And yeah, just like you said, this wouldn't really be a hard one if you're not under time pressure from that. All right, do you guys want to talk about some LR? Or I know, Steph, you and I talked about LR on this one, so let me pull it up here. I think I've got PT 57 on already. Quit Illustrator here. Did you unmute Matt for me, Steph?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. Screen sharing, Google Chrome.
Hello.
Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Oh, I'm good. I muted myself because I didn't want to make noise.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's just it's such a small group. I think it's easier to talk than type anything. Okay, so let's take a peek at. Can you guys see my Google Chrome screen now?
Negative.
Oh,
No.
Here we go.
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. So let's look at a few in section 2 together. And Steph, if we have any from the other LR section, I'll just keep a note and write them later. So any you guys had in here in section 2?
Like problems or?
Yeah, things that you wanted to go over.
Number 17.
All right, let's take a look. Okay, give me a minute here.
Oh, sorry, you can hear my cat.
Oh, that's fine. You'll have to send me a picture of this cat. I love cats. Okay, the Brick Wall Review makes enough money from sales to cover most operating expenses just from the anthology. So if your magazine also did the anthology, you could depend less on donations. So basically, it's an argument that your thing, whatever it is, your magazine is similar enough to the Brick Wall Review that you could do this same strategy. So
Yeah, this is oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I'm just thinking if I wanted to weaken that argument, I would want some information about why the Brick Wall is different from my magazine, which cast doubt on that this is going to work as well for my own magazine, you know? So neither the Brick Wall Review nor the other magazine depend on donations to cover most operating expenses. This is saying why they're similar, you know? So that's bad. That's like strengthening the argument, if anything. Many of the poets whose work appears in the Brick Wall Review have had several poems rejected for publication by the other magazine under discussion. To me, I mean, this is unclear, its effect, you know? Yeah, it's a reason why they're different, but is it going to affect how we might be successful by selling an anthology for this other magazine? No, it's not clear what effect that would have. If anything, maybe, you know, we'll do better because we got higher quality stuff with the anthology. C, the only compensation poets receive for publishing in the regular issue. Yeah, I mean, who cares? C just like has no effect. Depend. Yeah, again, why are we talking about donations so much? You know, the real crux of the issue here is whether this anthology will work for us. The Brick Wall Review's annual anthology always contains a number of famous poems by poets by famous. Sorry, always contains a number of poems by famous poets not published in the regular issues of the magazine. Yeah, so this is a reason why it's different from our magazine, which means it might not necessarily work for us, you know, for this other magazine. Is E right here?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is.
It's right.
Cool, yeah. So, I mean, for me, I think that was a matter of I'm just looking for any reason why, you know, it might not work in this other magazine. And, you know, E is the only one that really fits in that category at all. Okay, anything else in section 2, guys?
I had a question on number 20. I'm pretty sure I figured it out why I got it wrong. When I did this, I went with. Yeah, go ahead.
Pass. So, I mean, we're making, as usual, Steph, an argument about cause, right? Cause was setting a speed limit, effect, reduced highway accident rate by at least 15%. So, you know, if I'm going to want to weaken that, I'm going to want to, you know, show the same cause without the effect. I'm going to want to, you know, maybe introduce an alternate cause for why, you know, there was the reduced accident rate. So we're just scanning for that kind of thing. In the years prior to the introduction of the highway speed limit, many cars could go faster than 90 kilometers per hour. If anything, that you know, would seem to give some validity to this, because yeah, cars were going faster. after the speed limit, conceivably they weren't. So if anything, that's strengthening the argument. The 10 years ago, at least 95% of all automobile accidents in the area occurred on roads with a speed limit under 80 kilometers per hour. That's all well and good, but we're just talking about this one highway, right? So B doesn't have any effect on the argument. We're, maybe 5% of all accidents in the area is still a lot, and so, maybe reducing the speed limit did, have an effect on those 5% and reduce them by at least 15%, reduce that subset. Okay, so C, although the speed limit on many highways is 55, most people typically drive faster than the speed limit. That doesn't necessarily weaken it, because, I mean, you can even, I guess, if you want, kind of think about your real-world experience here. If there's no speed limit, they might be going way faster than just the 5 over that they typically go when there's a speed limit, So I'm not liking any of these so far. Thanks to changes in automobile design, drivers are better able to maintain control of their cars in dangerous situations. This, although it's mushy, is an alternate possible explanation for why, the highway accident rate has gone down. So this is a candidate weakener. I just want to check if E is any better. Otherwise, D will be the right answer. It was not until shortly after the introduction of so prevent highway. So E is a trick answer because, those things prevent harm to passengers, but they wouldn't produce any effect on the accident rate, right? And we're only concerned with the accident rate. So D is correct and E is not. Did you fall for E?
Okay. Yeah, I fell for E, and I was thinking it was E just because those things were in the car didn't mean people would use them.
Cool.
But you're right, that doesn't have any impact on accidents at all, so E is a really shitty answer.
Yeah, so careful reading like I
So yeah, so I had thought it was wrong because of that, so I was like, dang it. But yeah. Me and